I think I've just bought the perfect daily driver for a car enthusiast. Let's go for a drive and I'll show you what it is. So they say you're not a true petrol head until you've owned an Alfa Romeo, and that usually means you're rolling around in a broken down GTV or an old 75. That's not what this is. I needed a daily, something that I could go to and from work, to and from the workshop in, and not cost me a stupid amount of money in fuel. I needed something that did at least 50 miles to the gallon, but doesn't make me want to go to sleep while I'm driving it. I wanted something fun, something different. So I bought this, an Alfa Romeo Giulia 2.2 diesel, and honestly, it's the best decision I've made to the garage. If you're a car enthusiast, you have a problem. You have a project like I have my E30, and you spend any bit of spare money on that project and stuff like that, and it usually means your life consists of covered in grinding dust, oil, grease, dust, and all the stress that comes from project cars. The logical thing to do would have been to buy a sensible hatchback or a van so I can put car parts in it and stuff like that. But I already have a van. I've got a VW Transporter T5 2.5 TDI, and I've been daily in it, and it drinks fuel. It does probably 28 to the gallon on the way to work, and my commute is 30 miles. And it's costing me a fortune in fuel. So I did the man maths and figured out it was cheaper for me to spend a lot of money on a new car. So I bought this, an Alfa Romeo Giulia 2.2 litre diesel. Everyone told me buying an Alfa Romeo was a stupid idea, but I think this is actually the most logical choice for someone to daily that is a car enthusiast, and let me tell you why, and let me show you why. I mean, first off, look at it. This colour, this deep maroon, it's not a commuter grey in a car park full of German refrigerators. This stands out. And then you've got these Renault liquid yellow brake calipers. These have actually been done by the previous owner, but it really sets the paintwork off in the sun. It looks fantastic. It just shows people that you actually care about what you drive. It's that age-old look-back test. If after you lock your car, you're not turning back round just to have one last look at it before you walk away, the car's not for you. You've bought the wrong car. I'm nearly tripping over curbs. I'm looking back at it that much. I really have fallen in love with the look of this car. I always thought when the car first came out that it was a real looker. And then there's the interior. You go in most other diesels, it's like you're in a taxi. Cheap plastics. Not this. This is driver focused. Everything wraps around you. But the real star of the show is these paddles. These aren't cheap wobbly bits of plastic that have just been stuck on the back of the steering wheel. These are proper lovely piece of engineered aluminium, and they feel lovely to touch and use. Really good. They're fixed to the steering column so they don't actually turn with the wheel like they do in most cars. They stay in a fixed position. So every time you shift, it feels like you're driving a Ferrari. Makes you feel like you're driving something fun, not just something that gets good MPG. Now, the 2.2 litre diesel, the purists are going to say, why not the V6? And there's a few reasons. One, budget. Two, miles to gallon. I'm not going to get 50 miles to the gallon out of a 500 horsepower V6. Not even if I drive it like a granny. And yeah, budget. At the minute, I don't really want to spend that much money on a Quadrifoglio, to be honest. Although it's a beautiful car, I can't justify spending that money when I've got a lot of money I need to be spending on my BMW. And this 2.2 litre diesel, it pulls well for it does pull well. I believe this one has been remapped, so it's probably 230 horsepower and however much Newton meters torque, but it really does pull well. Paired with the 8-speed automatic gearbox, which you find in most BMWs. For the technical people out there, it's the 8 HP 50, I believe. But it really does shift well. When you put it in manual and you go up and down the gears, the gear shift is instant. It's amazing. This engine paired with this gearbox, it really does make a good cruiser. But then when you want to get on it and have a little bit of fun, you put it in manual mode and you go up and down the gears with the shifters, and it really does put a smile on your face. Plus, it's rear wheel drive. It has a carbon drive shaft as standard, which is insane really when you think about it. It's got a steering ratio of 11.8 to 1, which is incredibly fast for a road car. Most cars feel like they're suggesting what direction they want to go in. This car is engaging, it's fast, it feels like it's wired straight to your brain. You turn a little bit and it goes. Makes your trip to the supermarket feel like a qualifying lap. Now let's talk engineering, because this is where Alfa Romeo with the Giulia beats everything else in its class. Most manufacturers like BMW, Audi, Mercedes design the base model car and then beef it up, make your sporty versions, your M's, your RS3s, or your RS's, your AMGs. Not Alfa Romeo. They started with the performance model, the Quadrifoglio, and then dulled it down, put a diesel engine in it. So a lot of that technology trickles down into your diesel, like this one. Alfa Romeo started a secret project called Giorgio. They took some top designers and engineers, and they were led by Felipe Creef, I believe his name's called. The guy, he developed the Ferrari 458 Speciale, and they basically gave them a blank check and said, create me a world-class super saloon. And that was the 510 horsepower Quadrifoglio. And because they engineered a top-tier car straight away, so things like the carbon fibre drive shaft are standard across all the models. Most brands only put those in their top cars, like £100,000 plus, to save every bit of weight and gain every bit of performance. But here, it's just part of their DNA. The chassis is incredibly stiff because it was designed to handle double the power of the engine that is currently in it now. Designed to handle 510 horsepower, and this is 230 with the remap that it's had on it. It gets double wishbone suspension up front and the Alpha Link at the back, which was tuned by people who usually build Ferraris. So when I say it's the best Enthusiast daily, it's not just because it's unbelievably pretty. It's because it's been designed from the ground up to be a fun car, a driver's car. Yes, it was initially designed to have a V6 in it with 500 horsepower, but they've taken that same platform and put a 2.2 litre diesel, which will get over 50 miles to the gallon. So what's not to like? It makes every other diesel just feel like a bit of a compromise. Being an enthusiast doesn't mean you made money. I've been spending all my money on that BMW to fix the front end and get that LS1 in the engine bay. I need a car that's reliable, dependable, can get 50 miles to the gallon plus, but doesn't make me want to walk instead of driving. I want something that's fun. I want something that I can be proud of, happy to drive every day, and I want it to have that look back factor that I was talking about earlier. A lot of people worry about the Alfa Romeo reliability, and I must admit, I looked at these a year or two ago, and I was a little bit sceptical of it myself, I have to admit. But I did a lot of research on the diesel engine, and I've had a good look around a few, and they're a really, really nice put together bit of kit. And I'm going to get it on the ramp soon, so I can have a real good look around it. Everything feels solid, from things in the interior to under the bonnet, in the boot. Everything I've looked at just feels properly built. I'm not so sure you can say of Alfa Romeos of the past, but it's reliable enough to get me to work, economical enough to not break the bank, and it's fun enough so I don't lose my passion for driving and fun cars. The Giulia isn't just a daily driver, it's artwork. When I drive in this, it really revives my passion for driving, having a nice car. I used to drive everywhere, especially in that BMW, but I've been daily in a van and I got a bit bored. You don't just drive a van round for fun, not unless it's got some stupid mental swap in it. It's just not what you do, is it? But having this has really revived the fun factor, and it reminds me why I do this. Life's too short to be driving boring cars, even if they are diesels. So you're probably thinking, it can't all be perfect, it's Italian, there's got to be something wrong. And to be honest, I'm struggling to find anything. If I'm being picky, the radio doesn't have CarPlay, if I'm being picky. But I've had a look online and there's some solutions to that, which I'm going to do and I'm going to fix. Again, if I was being picky, the indicator stalks are quite close to the paddles. Sometimes find myself catching the paddles as I'm going to indicate. Again, it's not a biggie. I really can't think of anything else. Really cannot think of anything else. I mean, this thing's fully loaded, heated seats, heated steering wheel. I mean, it's got a start button on the steering wheel. That makes it feel like you're starting a Ferrari, until the diesel engine starts up, obviously, and then you remember you're in a diesel. So I'm going to have a little rant here. So when I've been looking at getting one of these for a couple of weeks. I've been looking at a few cars, to be honest, but I sort of got a bit dead set on the Alfa Romeo. Well, ringing around a few car dealerships, because in my head I wanted to buy it from a dealer. I thought it'd just be easier, and I couldn't have been more wrong. Got in touch with a few second-hand dealers. I was asking them questions on when the timing belt's been done, because on these diesels it should be done at 60,000 miles or 5 years, whichever comes first. I rang a few of them up. Oh, we ain't got the information. The cars I was looking at the time were about 95,000 miles, so it should be done at least once. But yeah, found them, and they said they had full service history on both cars. I phoned them up and I asked them if the timing belt had been done, because at that point in its life it should have been. Both of them didn't know. I don't know how, if you've got a car for sale, you don't know this information. They phoned me back. One of them phoned me back. So I've got some good news for you, but I've got some bad news. I was like, no worries. We've got full service history for the car. I was like, right, yeah. But we can't find any information about the timing belt being done. I was like, okay. I said, the car's at 95,000 miles. It's 35 miles overdue. 35,000 miles overdue. How do you know that? He replied with, how do you know that? I said, well, I've done my research and Alfa Romeo recommends 60,000 miles or 5 years. I can't see that anywhere. I was like, okay, so what are we going to do about that? And they said, well, if you say you're going to buy it, we'll do it for you at a discounted rate. I said, well, why do I have to pay for getting that work done, which should have been done 35,000 miles ago? So it put a bit of a sour taste in my mouth, and that sort of bugged me a little bit. And like I said, I didn't really want to buy this car from a private seller. So, but I got in touch with 2 or 3 on Facebook Marketplace actually, which sometimes Facebook Marketplace can even be a bit hit and miss. Anyway, this one had been up for sale for a month. So I just messaged, I saw the call and I thought, oh, I've got to see that. So I messaged the seller, asked him a few questions on the history of the car, what's it had done, has it has a timing belt, has it had this, has it had that, has it had the water pump. And the seller couldn't have been more helpful. Any information that I asked, he had an answer. If I wanted more pictures of the car, he would go and get me more pictures of the car, took videos of the car for me. And yeah, it couldn't have been more helpful. And one of the other sellers that I got in touch with was exactly the same. And the lad I bought it from, he's really into his Alfa Romeos, and this was his 5th one apparently. And he's taken real good care of it. Had the calipers redone, had any work that it's needed doing, it's had. And you can usually tell whether a car's been looked after by the tyres that it's got on. And it's got Pirelli P0s on it all round. So it did show me that this car really has been looked after. So I went and viewed it, took it for a test drive, bought it then and there. I fell in love with the colour. It was immaculate inside and out. Let me know in the comments what's your Enthusiast daily, and let me know if you think I've made a massive mistake getting an Alfa Romeo as a reliable daily, an Italian diesel. Go on, tell me why I'm wrong. Right, that's enough talking. I've got to get on with this BMW build. I need to cut the front off. See you in the next one. Have a nice weekend. And as always, like and subscribe.